How did I end up becoming a marketing manager for an investment company in the US, considering I have an accent? I was not born or raised here, and I was also not educated here. To the person that sent in this question, I'm not offended that you actually commented about my accent. I was not born and raised here. I was educated in the Philippines. I've been very open about that, and I do have like a regular accent of a Filipino when we're speaking in English. But you were very interested, like how I managed to actually move up the rank. So, especially in the marketing department. Number one, I did start from the bottom. I was already a manager in the Philippines when I moved here, and so moving from being a manager to becoming a receptionist was quite a huge leap for me. But then I was not educated here, so I guess that's one fallback. And also all of my work experience, they were all in the Philippines, and of course that's a different country, different law, different culture. So to their eyes, I was a fresh graduate, and so I just started from the bottom. That's what I did. I was a receptionist for the very first company that I worked for, and I made the most out of it. While I was there, I knew that because it was a really, really small company, there wasn't a lot of wiggle room. And so I decided, okay, I was just gonna um, this was paying my this the job that job was actually paying my bills. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna stick it out here and then start looking for something else, which is what I did. I started looking for something else, finally found a job in downtown for a textile printing company, and it was a much bigger company, still a small one, but much bigger than the first one that I worked for. And I was going to become an assistant, process orders and stuff like that. But I knew that there were other opportunities to help out in the websites and all the stuff. So that I guess is the second step. I started establishing a track record. So I knew that whenever I volunteered to help on other things, I knew I wasn't really gonna get paid, and that was fine. That was fine for me, for as long as I could establish my track record. So I did it very slowly. I was severely underpaid. I knew that, but I didn't care. And I guess that was one difference that I had versus other people, especially the ones that were born and raised here and were educated here, because their education already had like an innate value. They aren't really willing to do marketing work for like minimum, and I was. So I just like, I don't care, I was just gonna do it, as I've said, because I wanted to establish a track record. And then that was what happened. Eventually I moved to another company. At least I had something to offer. The other thing that was very important for me was to establish a really, really good relationship with my boss. And because it's very common here for a lot of HR people to call your previous employer, or your previous company, just to check like your track record and your character. So I made sure that I had a very good relationship with my boss, and it actually worked, because when I moved to a new company, like, he really put in a good word for me, so that paid off. And then the other thing I think a lot of people don't know is that marketing isn't really about talking with people. You're actually making a king. You're not turning yourself into a king. So your job is to make something or somebody else look good. So your job should be how to make them look good, not how to make yourself look good. So that's a relief for me. So that's just the nature, not really a relief, but that's just the nature of what we do in marketing. We make kings, we don't make ourselves kings. So for as long as you have the ability to make something else good and something else desired and needed, and find the right market, and find the right way of packaging that product, then you're good to go. And in connection to that, talking, of course, it's unavoidable, especially if you're moving up the ranks, for you to be talking with people. But when you become a manager, you become more picky on who you're talking with, because you have a lot of things to do. So you're better be served. Your talents are better used in other ways than just talking with vendors and partners and clients. So I sort of delegate those things. But then when, of course, when I was still moving up to where I am right now, yeah, I did a lot of communicating with clients. And the truth is that they don't really care about your accent, especially the Native Americans. They, for as long as their only concern is for them to understand what it is that you're saying. For as long as they understand it, you're good to go. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are talking about how they're getting discriminated, how they're getting insulted because of their accents, because of the color of their skin. I've just never had that experience. I'm not discounting theirs. Um, but I would like to give credit for myself that I made the right choices on who I should be talking with, um, who I should be working with, the people that I surround myself with. Second is that these people that have been around me also were raised the right way. I guess they're smart enough for them to do the right thing, and the right thing is to not judge other people based on the color of their skin. So I've never really had any Native Americans comment about my accent or the color of my skin, and I deal with a lot of them, not a single time. I have friends, because they know that I like being corrected if I'm pronouncing a certain word wrong, then I told them to correct me. So they would do that. Like if I say something, they would just correct me, tell me how it's pronounced the right way, and that's it. Move on from there. But before they know all of that, they wouldn't care. For as long as they can deduce what it is that I'm saying, they're fine. Um, that is yeah. So as I've said, I know that there's a lot of people who have a different experience than I had, but but this is my experience, so I've never really felt any kind of discrimination. And I keep on improving. I like learning, I like improving, I like trying out new things. And the all of that is because I want to keep the company that I'm working for happy. I want to prove my value by reaching my KPIs. So that's so key performance indicators for those of you who don't know. Any manager, any employee of the company, you have ways, like you have goals that you set in the beginning of the year, and I make sure I achieve them. If I can, I try to surpass them. So that's how I ended up here. I know that there's a lot of you who are very nervous about, especially Filipinos, are very, very critical about people's accent, about people's ability to speak in English. But quite honestly, when you come here, nobody cares. The natives won't care. For as long as they can understand you, you're good to go. And second is that what matters is your skill and the substance of your work. When you're an engineer, then you just have to be a good engineer. Don't worry about accents or whatever. Also, I know that there's a lot of talks about discrimination and racism and all of those stuff, especially against Asian, Asian hate. But really, I've never had any of those experiences. I think I've told you about this one time that but it wasn't directed at me. It was just directed at everybody else. And he seemed like he wasn't like in his right mind, where he just started blasting against people of color. And of course, that includes Asians. We were in a train in New York City, but he was probably crazy. So, but other than that, like directly at me, never. I've never been discriminated that way. Everyone, I mean everyone, not just whites, but black people, Latinos, they've all been very, very helpful. They've all been very, very friendly. And as I've said, they've always treated me like a human being, not like some third-class citizen or anything like that. It's all about humanity. So don't be nervous. For as long as you know that you have something to show for, that you're good at what you do, and you have the discipline to actually make it, then it doesn't matter where you actually end up, but you should be fine.